Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nemeka Oderiri. I want to weigh in on the controversy surrounding the muted plan by the federal government of Nigeria through the pronouncement of the coordinating minister of the economy to borrow from the 20 trillion naira pension fund assets to fund critical infrastructure development. I am one of the few, or one of the I'm one of those who believe so much that the pension fund assets are very critical to infrastructure development in any economy. I've always believed that we need to grow that critical asset in Nigeria to be able to fund long-term infrastructure. But trying to pilfer or to borrow from the 20 trillion naira estimated pension fund asset size in Nigeria without putting in place measures to shore up that asset size is very unfortunate. I've always maintained this, that Nigeria is one place where most of our political office holders, elected or appointed, always think about what to take and share and not what to make. 2 years ago, I'm an investment banker by the special grace of God, and I work and represent a lot of hedge funds and boutique investment banks outside of Nigeria. I represent their interests in Sub-Saharan Africa. My basic job I do for them is to help them to scout for opportunities in Sub-Saharan Africa, help them to conduct technical, legal, and financial due diligence on potential investing businesses that they can put in their money for higher return. There is no mistaking it that Nigeria ticks the best boxes for any desiring investor to come in and reap so much bountiful return on investment. The only problem we have here is the issue of lack of foresighted, lack of focused, lack of visionary leadership that have not enabled to provide policies and programs that will enable private direct investments, foreign direct investment, and foreign diaspora investment to flow into this country. Without digressing, the current Reform Pension Fund Regime Act we are operating today was borrowed from Chile. I remember then President Olusegun Obasanjo, great man, commissioned the Fola Adeola Committee to travel around the world. They practically went to Chile to look at the model they are using and adopt it and reform it for use in Nigeria. That is what bettered the contributory pension fund regime of 2004. I was also part of the federal government of Nigeria delegation in 2006. The same trip to South America. I was part of the federal government of Nigeria delegation to South America in 2006. The same issue of finding out how they fund MSMEs within their economy, development finance, and we came up with robust report. I made that trip. I was one of the first people that made that trip under the aegis of the Bankers Committee on Small and Medium Enterprise Scheme. What was the find? Just take a look around. All over the world, pension fund assets are very critical for long-term infrastructure financing and development. If you look at the US today, the pension fund assets of the US is 123% of their GDP. Look at Switzerland. Switzerland, population of only 8.8 million people. Their pension fund assets is over $1.27 trillion. Their GDP is about $808 billion. Their pension fund assets is far bigger than their GDP. In fact, the GDP per capita of the Swiss people is about $92,000. Their pension fund assets per capita is about $144,000. 8.8 million people contributing pension fund assets that is worth over $1.2 trillion. Look at Chile, from where we borrowed our model. Chile, 19.6 million people. Their GDP is about $301 billion. GDP per capita of about $15,450. Their pension fund assets is $205 billion. 19.6 million people contributing $205 million. Their pension fund per capita, if the Chilean pension funds per capita is almost about $10,459. Do you know Nigerian pension fund asset size? Just 20 trillion naira, less than $13 billion. Only about 6% of Nigerians only about 6% of Nigerians are enrolled in the pension fund assets, or are enrolled in the pension fund regime. Even South Africa, our next door neighbor, the South African pension fund asset is $178 billion. The South Africans, 60 million people, their pension fund assets per capita is about $2,900. Their GDP is $405 billion. Look at Nigeria, 217 million people. GDP of $252 billion estimated 2024. GDP per capita $1,160. Pension fund per capita $64. Now, the question is, why are we not growing up our pension fund assets to at least 50% of our GDP? The Switzerland pension fund asset is 156% of their GDP. The US pension fund asset is 123% size of their GDP. The Chilean pension fund assets size is 68% of their GDP. The South African pension fund asset size is almost 50% of their GDP. How come our own is less than 5% of our GDP? With the kind of, and do you know that economic activities in Nigeria is over a quadrillion naira sized? You saw the NIPS report of 2023. Even those that passed through the formal sector was about 600 trillion naira. So why are we not growing our pension fund asset? It's the same issue. We have people who are not foresighted, who are not critically thinking on how we can do this, put policies and programs in place. And now back to what I was saying. In 2021, like I told you guys, I represent a group, and I will mention names. I like to verify. The Sena Alliance Group. Sena Alliance Group is a boutique investment bank out of Switzerland. They have office in New York. They have office in London. In fact, the CEO of that company, Barakat Bameli, is half Fulani. She's a half Fulani. She's a Nigerian, but she left Nigeria at the age of 2 because Switzerland has some of the best, most efficient pension fund regime. We did a lot of work and research, and we came up with suggestions on how we can help the government of Nigeria in 2021 to grow the pension fund assets of Nigeria, working with PENCOM and the PFAs, and through a robust, digitally driven PPP framework in such a way that we can encourage Nigerians and enforce the law. The current regime says once you are an employer, you have 3 persons working under you, that you of course have to enroll them under the contributory pension fund regime. You also have to provide life insurance cover for them. But there is no consequential penalty for inability of people to employers to do that. And so there was a lacuna, a gap that needed to be filled. And there was also the need to enlighten people and encourage those in the private sector on the importance of growing pension retirement funds towards their retirement. Because it's very, very important. All over the world, pension funds, retirement fund is one of the most viable source of critical infrastructure development financing, and it also helps retirees to be able to cushion life after retirement. We came up with that proposal. But do you know why the proposal did not see the light of the day? It was supposed to be a wholly private sector driven arrangement with little amendment in the current pension fund regime to accommodate the private sector arrangement that we are putting in place. Our plan was that within the next 5 years to be able to grow the pension fund assets of Nigeria to about $150 billion, 225 trillion naira. If they had adopted that unique, creative PPP proposal we submitted to PENCOM, today we will have been talking about an asset that is so good. If you have 225 trillion naira in pension fund assets and the federal government is borrowing 5%, 10%, it will be enough. It will be enough if we have today 225 trillion naira pension fund assets and the federal government of Nigeria is borrowing 5% out of it. That is very, very huge. But do you know why that proposal did not say? Let me tell you, I was ethnically profiled. That was why that proposal. In fact, the PENCOM DG, immediately they saw the name that is the person behind it. I was confidentially informed. The lady said, oh, another Igbo man. And that was why in fact, and they forgot that the person that was actually driving it, I was only their rep in Nigeria, the person that was actually driving it, Barakat Bameli, is Fulani. Smart lady, former director in Deloitte, former director in Deutsche Bank, smart lady. We took out 6-month study of the Swiss pension fund regime, the most efficient pension fund regime in the world. It's in Switzerland. We looked at the Chilean model and we tried to create a very, very excellent PPP arrangement where we will have representative offices in every of the local government of Nigeria, where we will have enlightenment programs and campaign to bring in the huge informal segment of Nigeria into the formal segment, to see how we can get half of the Nigerian working population to embrace the pension fund regime. We talked about, even the insurance aspect of it, we created a robust framework for it. We even engaged the PFAs, and they were all excited. But when this proposal that was led by a very unique Swiss investment banking firm got to the PENCOM DG, the first thing was ethnic profiling. Who was behind it? One Dr. Nemeka Onyeka-Oberi, Igbo man, and that was the first thing. I felt so angry. I was so angry, and I said to them, the person that gave me this advice, okay, if a creative proposal that will have helped us to grow critical assets, funding assets that will help us develop this economy, is being destroyed because of my name or where I come from, that's the shameful thing in a country that's looking for critical long-term development fund to fund its infrastructure needs. Thank God that Wale Edu is now the coordinating minister of the economy and minister for finance. PENCOM reports to him, and I want to use this opportunity, and please help me share this. I want to speak to Minister Wale Edu. Sir, we have a proposal that is led by the Sana, that was drafted working with the Sana Alliance Group. Sana Alliance Group is a Swiss boutique investment bank with office in New York and in London, led by one lady, Barakat Bameli. We have a unique proposition under a private-public partnership arrangement working with PENCOM and the PFAs that can help us grow the Nigerian pension fund assets to over $150 billion over the next 8 years. If you need it, consult me, Nemeka Onyeka-Oberi, on WhatsApp 09090900989, and I will help you guys. I will submit it. I will invite Baraka to fly into Nigeria. We will sit down. You will see. Very simple to implement arrangements. We will grow up the pension fund. When we grow the cake to be very, very big, Chile has done it. South Africa has done it. Chile, 19 million people, pension fund assets, $205 billion. Nigeria with a working population of over 120 million people. Nigeria with economic activities annually, both formal and informal, is over 1.2 quadrillion naira, can grow our pension fund assets to $150 billion, 225 trillion naira within the next 8 years. Mr. President talked about growing an economy to $1 trillion. One of the ways to grow it is to grow the pension fund assets and the insurance sector. I and my team, that I represent, we have that unique key to help build Nigeria economy. Thank you and God bless. And we are not going to beg to help you guys. And we are not seeking for appointment. We will provide consultancy, full consultancy. You pay us for our consultancy, we'll help you execute it, and everybody is happy. To the glory of God and the upliftment of Nigerians. Thank you and God bless.